So patch 15 is finally here, and here we have the patch notes. There's quite a lot of stuff to go through. Obviously, there is a full profile wipe, as we know, which means that everything in your stash and all of your trader levels and all of that stuff is getting deleted. Now, the only things that I believe are staying is the wishlist itself, and usually even things like weapon builds get deleted as well. But I really hope the wishlist stays because basically BSG said it would do, and yesterday I went through and set all of mine up so that it's ready for the early wipe, as per the video that I did previously. So I really do hope the wishlist stays. So let's start from the beginning. New content. We have the factory rework. So all textures and geometry of the plant building, its interior rooms, cellars, structures and machinery have been completely redesigned whilst maintaining the general dimensions and layout of the original location. In some of the teasers and trailers, and even Pestely's kind of like little preview of it that he saw when he went to one of the conventions that BSG was at, it did seem like that the original design of Factory is broadly the same, so I don't think it's going to look too different, but obviously there's some areas that are going to be dramatically different. It looks like Glass Hallway has got an extra bit on the side and things like that, so we'll have to see when we get into game exactly how much they've changed. Rooms, basements and workshops have been refined while maintaining the large-sized objects of the original location. Some areas of the plant and the cellar area that connects all 4 workshops have been expanded and added outdoor areas around the plant, which is really cool, and I haven't heard anybody talk about that yet, so maybe that's new. Added several new crosswalks at dead-end locations, improved the upper level area in the workshops for easier accessibility, adjusted the spawns and extracts of PMCs and scavs to match the expanded areas, improved the AI behavior for all location layout changes, redistributed the loot and the containers through the location, and added new tasks as well. So this should be a pretty exciting update to Factory itself. Next, we have the new boss Partisan. Added a new boss called Partisan. Not much is known about his background. People say that he is a combat veteran and he has been obsessed with tripwires and booby trapping since those days. He is on good terms with Jaeger, which actually makes sense. We kind of thought that might be the case, and their goals and moral compasses seem to be aligned, or perhaps it's their military past that binds them together. Partisan holds firm to his principles in Tarkov, going after people that he believes to be honourless and hunting them down, whether they be PMCs or scavs. He has no ties to the other local bosses and tries not to cross paths with them. His view on traders is similarly negative, except for Jaeger. Your standing with fence has no effect on Partisan's attitude towards you, and it cannot be increased or decreased by helping or killing him. The boss appears in forest-type locations. He is more likely to appear in a raid with low karma PMCs. In this case, Partisan will hunt those players down. If there are scavs with low karma in the raid, they will also become his targets. However, any player has to be ready for the traps and expect a firefight when encountering this boss, regardless of karma. Partisan prefers a stealthy approach, taking advantage of the terrain, setting traps in advance, and only then engaging in open combat. The process of preparing and exploring a location takes up most of his time, while open confrontations are less frequent. When fighting against multiple opponents, he can lure one of the players to his booby traps, which he sets up beforehand. The boss acts alone. He installs tripwires, actively uses grenades, and can move quietly through the terrain and track his target for a long time across the whole location. Pretty interesting. It seems like you can fight him without any consequence, so whether you've got high karma or low karma from a PMC karma perspective, not that you can even see what that is because it's a it's a hidden metric, you're still going to be able to fight Partisan without worrying about losing it or anything. So it's different to something like Zavachi with Lightkeeper, which is quite nice. Other than that, we're just going to have to see how he plays out in game in conjunction with the karma system, which is coming next. So Karma added a new hidden parameter, Karma. The Karma value changes depending on the player's actions. Generally, it can be increased by adhering to a more open playstyle and decreased for a dishonest playstyle. The number of triggers that change the value of Karma will always be increasing, and the triggers themselves will be adjusted and balanced further. In some cases, Karma changes can be tracked by a distinctive sound notification, and a lot of people have suggested or speculated that this is going to be a bird sound or something, because in the picture with Partisan, he's got a little bird there, so that, if you're sat in the extract or whatever, then you hear a little bird sound, you know that your PMC Karma is going down, something like that. We'll have to see, but something like that sounds pretty likely. Next, we have map-to-map travel. I can't tell from reading this, just before we go through the actual details of this, whether this is kind of enforced for everybody or whether this is you have to sign in or opt into it. I'm not sure yet. So, new game event Marathon. During the Marathon event, location transits will only be available in the corresponding game mode, as in if you're doing Marathon. Marathon is available only in PvP. Players will receive a unique achievement for completing the Marathon event. After the event is over, all location transits will become available in all raids. Added the ability to travel from one location to another. So this is a little bit like kind of the BTR, I guess, dropping loot off and moving from one map to another. To move to another location, the player must enter the transit zone and select the appropriate option in the context menu. We've seen this teased by Nikita once before. Location transits are available after 7 minutes from the start of the raid. This coincides with the time that it takes to not get a run through, so ignoring the EXP thing, even if you get no experience at all, you won't get a run through if you're in raid for 7 minutes, so that's, aligned with that. During the transit, the player will be able to transfer some of the items found in the raid, which will be moved to the stash for a certain price. So if you've got like find in raid items, something for a quest, you could go to the transit and transit to the next map. If you're really far away from the extract or something and you just want to keep those, you don't really care about your actual player, you can use that mechanism to transfer some items over that are find in raid, which for quests could be important. After transferring the items, the transit timer will begin. When activating the transit and transferring items, the ability to exit the current location will become unavailable and the player will be forced to use the transit. So this is basically to prevent people just like kind of cheesing it, going up to the transit saying, oh, I'm going to use the transit, transferring some items, and then just leaving and carrying on with the rest of the raid. So it's not like the BTR in that way. When attempting to transit in a group, players can use the transit only if all living members of the group are in the transit zone, so you can't separate from your squad. If several players who are not in the same group use the transit at the same time, they'll be transferred to the next location together. Solo players can join a group and also transit to the next location together, which is kind of interesting. That's pretty cool, actually, that you don't end up just getting dumped into a different raid to people that you're not partied with. Everyone who uses the transit will all go into the next raid together. So you can kind of make friends with somebody and go on a mission or a journey with them across multiple raids and all be together in that mission, which is actually pretty neat. The available transit directions are marked with a dotted line on the location selection screen. So I guess the map has been updated so that we can see dotted lines between different maps. I imagine that means there probably aren't that many, because otherwise that map screen would become crazy. Added the marathon achievement for visiting all locations in one raid, which is presumably the goal of this marathon event. So you're going to go from one map to another map to another map to another map, and you visit all locations and then survive at the end. I guess it's a little bit like the guide, I suppose, something like that. So next up we have tripwires, everybody's new favorite addition to the game. Added the tripwire installation feature. A single-use consumable item, the tripwire installation kit, is required to install the tripwire. The item cannot be found in raid or bought on the flea market. Not being able to find it in raid is interesting. The kit will be available for purchase after completing Jaeger's task chain, so it's not going to be available straight away. Not sure if I like this, I don't know. I thought it was maybe going to be a hideout craft or something, but yeah, whatever. When the item is in the inventory, the player gets access to the tripwire mode by using the B key on appropriate grenades. The grenade must be in the hands to switch to the tripwire mode. So you get your grenade out and you press B. The tripwire has a minimum and maximum installation length. It can be placed on any flat or slightly inclined surface. I'm very interested to see what this kind of looks like. Tarkov's never really had like a building plan layout type thing. Like, it's not really that kind of game, so we'll have to see how that looks. Tripwires can be activated in a number of ways. By shooting the wire from a short distance, cool. Hitting the wire with explosion shrapnel, so you can just like grenade an area and blow them up. Hitting the wire with any physical object, including players, bots, items. So you can like throw a bag down onto it, like roll a bag down a hill through a tripwire, or lure an AI through it, or hit it yourself and blow up. During activation, the tripwire does not explode instantly, but with a fuse delay specified in the grenade's description. So if you put a VOG in there, it's kind of a very, very short fuse. An impact grenade, I don't know whether that will go off straight away. I imagine not. I think that will probably go with the timer, because it doesn't actually, it doesn't travel far enough to activate the impact grenade. So it'll probably just go off its inbuilt fuse. If you throw an impact grenade at a wall right next to you, it doesn't go off straight away. It reverts back to a timer instead to stop it from blowing up the user. I imagine that's probably going to be the same here. So you won't just be able to set instant traps. So the best one's probably going to be the VOG 25. So next one, very important. Tripwires can be disarmed. To do so, approach the booby trap grenade and disarm it through the context menu. Disarming takes a certain amount of time. Having a multi-tool in your inventory significantly reduces the disarming time, which is very cool. And you can put multi-tools in your special slots at the top. So this is increasing the amount that people actually use those special slots rather than just storing some markers in there, which is nice. After disarming, you can pick up the grenade used in the tripwire. Also cool. And apparently, tripwires disarm on their own after a certain amount of time. Don't know how long that's going to be. That seems kind of strange to me, but okay. So next up, bipods and weapon mounting. This is one that people have been looking for ages. Bipods were supposed to be in the game even like 2 wipes back, maybe, I think, but it got kind of pushed out and delayed until now. So added the ability to mount weapons and use bipods. To mount a weapon, the player must aim at a suitable horizontal or vertical surface and press the mount weapon key, V by default. The recoil and stamina consumption is reduced when firing a mounted weapon. To mount the weapon on a bipod, toggle the bipod key, which is Control and V by default, and then point at a suitable horizontal surface and press the mount weapon key, which as we said is V by default. The stamina, recoil consumption and weapon sway is greatly reduced when firing a bipod mounted weapon. Mounting the weapon while prone is only available if the bipods are installed and deployed on the weapon. Icon in the corner of the screen shows whether the weapon is mounted or signals that the given surface is not suitable for mounting. So there's going to be some kind of icon indicator to tell you whether you can do it or not, or whether you're in that mode or not. If it's not that easy to see in game, then we can just check that icon. So next, new hideout zones. The first one is the gear rack. The gear rack zone is added to the extended part of the hideout and has 3 upgrade levels. I'm actually very excited about this module. Each level adds a mannequin, which can be used to display any gear equipable on your PMC. You can equip gear from the mannequin or exchange the gear already equipped by your PMC for the mannequin's gear. So you can just do a 1-for-1 swap. Pouch items and special slot items do not apply to equipping and exchanging, so nothing in your secure container will swap over, which is kind of nice. Does make me wonder about weapons. So if you've got Red Rebel, do you need Red Rebel on all of your mannequin sets, or do you have to go manually transfer that afterwards? I feel like melee should also be excluded from that, but we'll see how that pans out. And then we've got the other hideout zone, which is the Cultist Circle. The new Cultist Circle is located outside the main hideout. You can sacrifice up to 5 items to the Cultist Circle. The value of each sacrificed item is added up. The total determines the value of items received as a gift from the cultist. The cultist cannot deliver items while you're in the hideout, so I guess you have to go on a scav run or play PMC or something like that, and then they'll come around and deliver you something. If the value of a single sacrifice is above a certain threshold, so if like one item is over a certain value, there is a 25% chance to receive items needed for active tasks and unfinished hideout zones. This is potentially incredibly powerful. It's going to depend on the cooldown, but this could be really, really big. The value of the sacrificed items is further increased by the bonuses from the Sacred Amulet, bizarrely, and the Hideout Management skill. Players who have purchased the Unheard Edition will have the Cultist Circle built instantly. So this is actually pretty huge. I wonder if this 25% chance, whether you could somehow control this in a particular way by, slimming down the options so it's only valuable items that are available and then using the Cultist Circle to get this 25% chance. Going to depend on what this threshold is, the single sacrifice above a certain threshold. People will figure out what this is over time. We don't know yet. Maybe it's too high to make it not worth it. Maybe it'll be kind of low, which means that it will be worth it. And then you want to just kind of fill out all of those easy ones, right? You don't want it to just like deliver you a wire that you need for your workbench or whatever. You want it to be delivering you vertexes or, anything like that, which is for high value quests. So once you've got all of your easy stuff out of the way and you've got all of the easy requirements fulfilled, then this could actually be really powerful. So moving on, we've got the AI enemy reaction system, added variation in AI behavior when spotting another AI or player in PvE. So PvE seems to be like the test bed for AI at the moment. Behavior model is chosen depending on the lore relationship between the factions. Possible reactions: instant aggression and attack, friendly unless shown aggression, total friendliness, warning and attacking if not obeyed, neutral unless shown aggression. So the choice of whether to be aggressive depends on the mood of the bot and the faction of the target. For example, if an AI bear encounters an AI USEC, they are more likely to engage them, but not necessarily 100%, than they would be if they encountered another AI bear. The decision whether to be aggressive or peaceful is made for both player scouts and player PMCs. The chance of meeting a more aggressive AI PMC varies depending on the location. For example, on Ground Zero, under level 20, the bots are more friendly, and in the lab, they are the most aggressive. Faction interactions will be implemented and balanced further in both PvE and PvP modes. So BSG are making changes to PvE in terms of AI, and they've said that they're going to move some of this stuff over to PvP. I believe the PvP is a little bit behind PvE in terms of AI, but maybe they're resynchronizing that as the beginning of this wipe, except for maybe this behavior. So we'll see. But yeah, PvE is a better place to test AI in some ways because that's like all there is there. And there's AI PMCs, which isn't the case in the PvP mode. So next up, the new weapons, equipment, and loot. Most of this we know already, but they've split them up into lots of different categories. So we've got the Uzi 9x19 submachine gun, the Uzi Pro pistol 9x19 submachine gun, the Uzi Pro SMG 9x19 submachine gun. As a non-gun guy, I'm not entirely sure what the difference is between these. I kind of hope that they're not like 3 separate guns, but I don't know. Maybe they are in real life. I'm not sure. The SR3M 9x39 compact assault rifles. This is a bit like the VSS or the VAL. It's like the SR2M, but using the VAL bullets. The Magnum Research Desert Eagle Mark 19 .50 Action Express pistol. Then we've got the L5 Action Express, the L5 357 pistol. We already have this caliber in the game. L6 50 Action Express and L6 50 Action Express pistol WTS. I don't know what the differences between all of these things are. It'll become apparent when we get in game, and I'm sure somebody can elucidate in the comments. Then we've got the M60 E4, E6, and the E6 in FTE, which they've added as well. And then there's some updated weapon models from the VAL, the VSS, the Kedda B, the Kedda, and the Klin. We've got a new caliber, Action Express, and 4 bullets in there, which is not a huge surprise. This is pretty typical with the new kind of pistol calibers that BSG put into the game. We've got FMJ, JHP, Copper Solid, and Hawk JSP. Obviously, the ammo stats for these will come out once the patch actually gets released, but I'm very interested to see how good the Deagle can actually be in this new caliber. Then we've got some other weapon improvements, new weapon attachments, adjusted the functionality for pistol grips on the Makarov PM. If there is a quick drop button on the grip, the interaction animation with the pistol is changed. It's these little bits of attention to detail that we love BSG for. Like, nobody asked for this, nobody complained about this, but they just need to do it because they feel like they have to. improved the AUG A1 and the AUG A3 visuals, updated the grip animation, and visually added a operating gas piston, which is cool. I actually really like the AUG. Last patch, the AUG was probably one of the most powerful 5.56 weapons, and if they don't change too much about the balancing, which it doesn't seem like they have done, then this is also going to be extremely powerful this wipe as well. So look out for that. The AUG A1 is actually quite a good contender early on in Peacekeeper. Added some animation variations depending on the installed attachments for new and updated weapons, and updated the grenade animations. And obviously new equipment, armor, helmets, loot, new options for character customization. So we'll see those and they'll get posted as we go through and play the wipe. So, quality of life adjustments. I didn't think this was coming this wipe necessarily, but it looks like they've finished it early. Optics zoom adjustment. Added the ability to smoothly adjust zoom for the following optics. Now, I'm not going to read all of these out. There's a lot. It's basically all the ones that you would imagine. TAC 30, the Voodoo. Let's just pick out a few. The Razor. Oh, you know what? The thing that could be interesting is some of these, like the March Tactical, right? Because this is like 3 to 24. March Tactical was basically unusable before. Same with like the Leopold Mark IV. So all the usual ones that we've looked at before, Schmidt and Bender 128 and these guys, these ones are still going to be powerful. But something like the Hensoldt, where it starts at 4 and goes to 16, or as we said, the March, which goes from 3 and goes to 24, these ones could be a lot better than they were previously because there was no variability on them. They were just locked at their kind of like max zoom. So these optics might actually be decent now. I mean, Leopold Mark IV starting at 6.5, probably a little big, but for a sniper, if you're playing Lighthouse or something, yeah, it might be usable. So the default hotkeys that you have for these guys are the Alt, scroll up, and scroll down, which may or may not make sense depending on what your keybinds are. Then we have selecting a grenade with G. People have been asking about this for ages, so thank goodness they put this in. A new icon with hotkey G is available in the quick access bar. It will display a grenade the player will equip first. You can select the specific grenade by holding G. So it's a lot like the magazines thing. If you hold down R, it shows you a list of magazines you can pick. It's going to be like that for grenades. The drop-down list displays only unique grenades with their respective quantities. So if you've got 3 RGDs and 2 smoke grenades, they'll just say, you know, RGD and smoke grenade, and they'll say 2 and 3, something like that, which is like awesome. Same thing with flashlights, basically. Added the ability to activate tactical devices and flashlights by pressing or holding a hotkey. It's usually T for people. Depends on what you've got your button set. And then you also have the ability to manually enter values in the game settings. So with mouse sensitivity, some people have like very precise requirements. And if you've got very high DPI on your mouse, then you need, you know, quite a lot of decimal places on your mouse sensitivity. So you're able to now manually enter it rather than just using the slider. Hotkey adjustments. Updated the sorting order of hotkeys in the control settings. This is actually quite good because they were just in a random jumble. It was basically the order in which they'd been added, so it wasn't a sensible list. Action melee weapon has been reassigned to you. Melee attack has been reassigned to you on double click. So if you have melee attack or anything like that on your settings right now, you might need to change that. I actually had that rebound so that it's easier to reach with my thumb. So I'm going to have to probably go and like fix that. But we all have to go and have a look at our keys because now we've got, you know, scrolling, we've got grenade stuff, we've got bipods and mounting and all sorts of things to add to the huge list of other hotkeys in EFT. So probably needs a little rethink about our hotkeys. I'm going to have to think about that this wipe. So a couple of balancing changes. Simplified the objectives for setup and long road. Don't really know what that means. Setup is one that people don't really like. Maybe they've decreased the number of kills. There was a lot of feedback about that last wipe. Long road is one that's just really difficult to actually get done on Lighthouse. There's just not enough scavs on the road. People are always looking out for scavs to kill there because it just takes an eternity to get those kills. And I think, yeah, I have to do 20 or something. It's just a lot. Then we've got completely removed the trade offers for Class 6 body armor, plate carriers, ballistic plates, and helmet modifications from traders. These items can now only be found in raid. This is good. People have been asking for this for a while. The end game of Tarkov just gets super stale. I have a whole video about it if you're interested and you haven't seen that already. But basically, this just makes the game super boring in the end game. Having all that stuff on the traders just means that basically if you have the levels, you have access to all of that stuff infinitely. And if you don't have the levels, you can't really ever get it except off another player. This makes it more fair. This means that high-end players can't be playing Class 6 all the time. And it means that more casual players do have the ability to go into raid and actually get those items themselves. I think this is good overall. Change the availability of ammo on the flea market. Now, all ammo with less than 42 penetration is allowed on the flea market with a few exceptions. This is to fix things like MP7 FMJ SX being allowed on the fleet, but something with 37 pen, like M856A1, not being allowed. So it all got a little bit inconsistent. So they've re-added the rules. Apparently there's a few exceptions, so I don't know what those might be. Maybe it'll be some of the shotgun slugs or something like that. I can imagine something like AP20 slugs still being banned on the fleet, even though it's 37 pen. So maybe a few like that still going to be banned, but broadly speaking, anything with less than 42 penetration is going to be allowed. Interestingly, this is also going to capture M80 because M80 is 41 pen. So we're going to have to see whether that's also part of the exceptions or not. Increase the damage of 762 by 39 and 545 by 39 and 9 by 21. This is probably needed. 762x39, I'm not sure. People have really been downbeat on 762x39 this wipe. I don't think it's necessarily as bad as people say, but it's partly to do with the RPM of the different weapons and also just the availability of the bullets. I'm not sure if it's really an actual bullet problem. It's more that you have to like craft BP and can't buy it versus like M62 and SIG Hybrid for the spear, which you could just buy off the trader. So to me, it was more of an availability issue. So we'll see. Maybe this is going to make it like slightly too powerful, but we're going to have to see exactly what they've done to each caliber. I'll do a whole video about ammo, don't worry. Slightly reduce the damage of some 5.56x45 caliber ammo. Again, I'm not sure if this is necessary. Like 5.56 is pretty good until about the mid-wipe, and then it stops being good, and everyone uses 7.62 NATO, so I don't know whether this is really necessary. So a couple of technical changes. Equipment clipping implemented the anti-clipping system, so helmets, glasses, masks, collars, headsets will be correctly displayed on the character with any combination, which is kind of neat. Challenge accepted to try to find a combination that doesn't work. Animations. Rework the animation playback system to increase the accuracy of first and third person synchronization where possible. Optimize the left shoulder animations for more smoothness, which is nice because it is still a bit clunky. Added special door interaction animations. The number of interactive object animations will increase further in the future updates. I'm not sure exactly what this is going to mean. Maybe it depends on the door or the angle you approach it from. I don't really know, so we'll have to see how that pans out in game. Graphics. Redesign the weather condition display system on the player's client. So fix bugs that led to unpredictable weather conditions in the raid in certain cases. There's so often where it says, oh, it's going to be a really lovely clear day. You get into raid, it's like super overcast, like high wind. You think like, what's going on? So apparently they fixed that a bit. Improved the cloud visuals. They react to weather changes more realistically, which is pretty cool. Tarkov already has some really nice atmospheric clouds and stuff, so that's going to be nice to see. Updated FSR technology to version 3, so non-NVIDIA users will be able to use an updated version of FSR, which should be nice. And remove support for FSR version 1. And switch the in-game season to summer. Bit late, guys, but, you know, better late than never. Then we've got some really interesting changes to sounds here. Improved the environment sound system. Developed a component that tracks the position and rotation of the listener and moves the source along a predetermined curve, changing not only the position of the source, but also exposure angle. By changing the exposure angle of the sound, it becomes more natural. The proof is in the pudding, right? We have to just try this and see. But yeah, it sounds great that they're adding and making changes to the system, and it sounds like they've added a whole new module here, which is really cool. Implemented a large number of different sound sources to enhance immersion. For example, the flow of water through pipes on factory, the rats running in the vents, and many small details that are randomly played at specific points. From the fall of pebbles to the interference of electricity in the generators and the air coming out of the boilers. This is fine, so long as it doesn't sound like walking or gunshots or something else. There's probably going to be some of these sounds that are problematic. The fall of pebbles or whatever, you're going to think it's a player. Maybe that's kind of what they're going for. Sound system performance optimization, occlusion calculation algorithm adjustments is the next part. Transferred the whole algorithm to multi-threaded calculations, so that should help with performance a bit. Finalized the search and calculation of the angle between the source and the listener. Improved the use of depth to determine its effect on the sound. Improved the curves tuning, which is responsible for volume decay and sound propagation in complex geometry locations. And with these adjustments, the overall sound is smoother with a better grasp of the sound source's location. This all sounds kind of good. I'm actually most interested in the improved use of depth to determine its effect on the sound. I think in some cases the sounds kind of almost felt like too compressed or whatever. Like there wasn't enough difference between, you know, someone being 20 meters away versus being 10. It was like very like harsh binary thresholds. The only unfortunate thing about this is we're going to have to redo the whole sounds video. So, you know, wait for that after a week or two once we get the early wipe out the way. Active headset adjustments improved the separation of weapon sounds and other sounds into different compressor channels, added the splitting of sound subgroups and increased the number of customizable parameters for more control, adjusted the frequency response, noise reduction level and compressor values as well as their technical specifications to match the specs of real headsets, recorded the real active headsets that are used in game, the sounds of shooting and environment sounds in them to allow further fine-tuning, the positioning of sounds, distance awareness and the sound of in-game active headsets were noticeably improved. All headsets have their own unique equalization, resulting in a different sound for all headsets. So this is probably going to throw off the headsets again, all over again. So if you're tied to a specific headset or use a specific headset a lot, don't expect it to sound the same straight away. We're going to have to go and have a look and see what they've done to all of these things. It sounds like they've made some quite drastic changes. So I know people used to use, you know, regular contacts and then contacts and then sounded terrible and everyone had to go and find a new headset to use. This sounds like something similar. So, you know, just beware of that. Anti-cheat update. Implemented protection against a series of exploits related to monitoring loot on players and locations using forbidden software. Implemented protection against a series of exploits related to network synchronization and unfair movement using, again, the forbidden software. So a few other list of changes. Fixed a number of visual bugs in geometry and culling on all locations. Cool. Fix the incorrect status of the DSP transmitter in solo PvE. Visual artifacts when using FSR2 on Ground Zero and Streets of Tarkov. The synchronization of the loot state in a container when the weapon was folded in the container. Fixed an issue that caused the explosion effects of a thrown grenade to be missing in certain cases. That's very annoying. I'm glad they fixed that. Fix the incorrect player dog tag status when transferring it through the BTR service. Fix the automatic vaulting triggering when players interacted with the inventory with the vaulting and forward keys pressed. I never had that one. I'm not sure what that was to do with. Fix the soft lock when using a weapon that was looted from an airdrop in the same raid in PvE. Fix the display of repair kit icons when using them from a container. Fix the incorrect bot spawn points in PvE mode. Fix the display of a killer's nickname on the post-raid screen in a situation where the killer died before the grenade they threw exploded. This often came up just with, like, you killed yourself, like suicide kind of one, which is a bit crazy, even though you died to an RGD. Like, it told you on the desk, on the, like, body screen that it was grenade, but in the actual kill screen, it said that, like, nobody killed you, which is, like, really weird. Fix the soft lock when closing inventory when click dragging weapons. Fix the Torrey Pines, which is the little thermal, red dot type thing, sight displaying over the character's hands when fixing malfunctions. Fix the incorrect behavior of rogues when interacting with USEC faction players. I don't know what this is to do with, because maybe they are too lenient. I mean, you seem to be able to run through Lighthouse and just go into the camp, so I'm not exactly sure what this means. Fix the incorrect display of KD in short and full profile stats. Incorrect display of sorting weapons by mastering screen. Incorrect display of the longest effective shot. Fix the soft lock when interrupting medicine animations in certain cases. This is busy hands bug is what they're talking about, which is nice. I mean, that continues to plague all games of this type. Fix the duplicate task additions in certain cases, the decal displays in the hideout, and the insurance letter storage time for the unheard. This was basically decaying too quickly. Insurance was going away, even though it should have been a lot longer. So that's the end of the basic Escape from Tarkov patch. Now, we also have a patch for Arena at the same time. Originally, it looked like Arena was going to be patched earlier than Escape from Tarkov, so you could be able to play it. That's actually not the case. They're going to extend the patch 2.0 for Arena, such that you can't play Arena early and get a leg up, because people were going to be getting to like level 10 or something, even maybe higher, by playing Arena for 3 hours. So we've got patch 2 for Arena at the same time. This features a full profile wipe. I'm slightly surprised about this entirely. As part of the update, the progression of presets as well as the player ARP has been reset. I thought we were going to keep this, but apparently not. ARP values have been adjusted as follows. Any profile with less than 2000 ARP rating, sucks to be me, ARP is set to 1500. Profiles with more than 2000 ARP rating, ARP is set to 2000. Now, the big update here, the custom preset system added the ability to create a fully custom preset. You can customize the equipment available for each class, weapons, attachments, the contents of chest rigs, plate carriers and pockets, and the character appearance through different uppers, lower masks, hats, and eyeglasses. A total of 12 custom preset slots will be available to players, 3 for each class. This is what we've been waiting for ages. This actually makes Arena significantly better. Don't know exactly how this is going to work, but we know that we've got the ability to do, we've got like meta scores and stuff. I guess you could probably play ranked with these, but let's just read through and see. So custom preset rules. Each piece of equipment has its own meta score value, which makes sense, like a points or whatever. A universal unit for evaluating the item's effectiveness. You can use and customize any equipment available to the class. Custom presets have 4 meta score bars: firepower, defense, utility, and total. Firepower displays the meta score for your weapon, ammo, and weapon mods. Defense bar displays the meta score for all armor elements and items with protective properties. Utility bar displays the meta score for medicine, gear, rigs, and headsets. Meta score bar displays the total potential preset power. Each bar has lower and upper limits. When creating a preset, you need to balance its equipment in such a way that the amount of meta score does not exceed the bar limits. Starter presets. Rework the standard presets for all classes. There are now 3 starter presets available in each class. All equipment from the standard presets is available immediately and can be used to create your own preset. Collectible presets will be improved and adapted for the custom preset system and then returned to the game in the nearest updates. The preset tier system has been fully removed from the game. The class system. CQB class has been renamed Enforcer. Each piece of equipment is assigned to a class. The equipment can be available for all classes or only for specific classes. Added Armory to the game. The Armory acts as an equipment store and a handbook. You can buy equipment for the 2 main currencies, rubles and GP coins. To purchase some equipment, you also need to meet certain conditions, such as completing dailies or reach a certain character level. Some equipment will be available when you unlock or purchase certain weapons, such as basic weapon attachments for this weapon. Some equipment is available immediately at the start of the game. In the Armory, you can see the links for any equipment. For example, you can see what equipment can be installed on a particular item. All ammo and armor elements, ballistic plates, except for a few, are available immediately and do not require purchasing and unlocking. The cost and conditions for unlocking new items has been balanced, thus every player, regardless of the result in the match, will be able to purchase the items that they want. We will continue to closely monitor the progression balance and make adjustments if necessary. Now this sounds really cool. This sounds like there's some sort of unlock system for attachments and things that you're able to build your presets with. So you can't build everything straight away. You need to reach certain level requirements and also buy certain pieces of equipment. This is really interesting. This actually makes Arena pretty cool because it means that there's actually something to grind to, not just like a random preset, but you're like unlocking weapons parts. Kind of a little bit like Call of Duty in some fashion, but you're actually building like custom presets with these things. So this is really neat. I like the idea of this. It sounds really good. A weapon progression system. Added a progression and level system for all weapons. Levels are earned for kills in a match. Experience is awarded for the weapon used to score the kill. It doesn't matter if you win the match or not. The experience amount for a single kill is 250 XP for Teamfight Blast Gang, and 100 XP for Last Hero. Double and triple kills are rewarded with an increased amount of XP. Each class has a 100% experience bonus for the first game of the day with no weapon limit. For example, you could use the same weapon in different classes and receive several first day bonuses. Please note you can only receive one class bonus per match. When changing presets during a match in Blast Gang and Last Hero, experience is distributed based on the number of kills on the weapon. Once unlocked, weapon attachments are given for free and are available for installation on any available weapon without the need to unlock them again. The number of levels on the different weapon systems may differ from each other. For example, the M4A1 has 30 levels, while the AKS-74UN only has 7. Some weapon attachments can be in the progression of several weapon systems at the same time at different levels. To get such attachments, you only need to lock it once on any weapon. By playing with a single weapon, you can unlock most of the best attachments for it and related weapon systems. But that's a lot of information. I've read through this, and I'm not 100% sure exactly how this is going to pan out in the game, but it's almost like the weapons have their own levels. You've also got the ability to buy other pieces of equipment using GP coins and rubles. This sounds like a lot of progression here, which is kind of what we've needed in Arena for a long time. We also have dailies and weeklies being revamped, reworked them, so greatly simplified all the tasks, thank goodness, because some of them were like a cryptic clue figuring out what you even needed to do. Removed complex and multi-part tasks. Weekly tasks now have a guaranteed reward of 1 Lego medal. This is kind of nice because I am to date still to get a Lego medal, and I ended up with 150 GPs. I didn't play a lot of Arena, but I had 150 GP coins worth of dailies done, and I was still waiting to find a task that gave me a Lego medal. Tasks for Teamfight and Blast Gang have been merged, except for the unique tasks where you have to eliminate enemies before the capture point appears, and the plant or deactivate device for Blast Gang. Added a new objective for Teamfight mode to capture the objective by yourself, and added a new objective for Blast Gang, plant or deactivate the device by yourself and eliminate the enemy with the device. Change the starting items for the following editions. So standard, you have 600,000 rubles and 50 GP coins, and the Rigi edition, rubles 800,000 and GP coins 100. This sounds really good. We're going to have to test it and see what this does, but this actually makes me want to dive back into Arena. This sounds really cool. So there you have it. That's all the patch notes. I wish you all the best in the wipe. I'm going to be making videos every single day for probably the first 10 days about, the new best weapons to use, all the changes to ammo and ammunition, everything to do with armor, all that kind of stuff, all of the early things that we'll need to know. I'm going to be making videos every day like I usually do. So I'll see you out there. Have fun in your raids and best of luck.